This is America. The greatest atrocity against mankind. American chattel slavery. If you traced your lineage, what would you find? Do you know where your roots lead to?
Celebrate the foundational Black American culture of freedom fighting and resistance with the first annual Aretha 5K run. This cultural experience will honor our FBA ancestors and icons while harnessing energy from our past to power our future. There will be security at this event to ensure everyone has a safe and enjoyable experience. Aretha Run is a cultural event for family and friends. Strollers and wheelchairs are welcome. The in-person event will include a free 1-mile fun walk and will be held on December 17th in Tampa, Florida. Unable to make the live event, you can also participate virtually anywhere from December 17th to December 30th. All registered participants will receive the official Aretha Run finisher medal, t-shirt, and more with the ability to upload their race time to the official site. Live event participants will receive the time race scores, professional finisher photo, video, and your name will be announced as you're welcomed across the finish line. Enjoy the post-race after party and refuel with a traditional FBA breakfast. You can also help us settle fun family debates like sugar or salt and grits. Prepare with family workouts and runs and post on social media using the hashtag ArethaRun. For registered info and sponsorship opportunities, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Click the link in the bio. Hope to see you all there.
Grace and peace, Black family. This is Vicky Dillard, your sister with the curly braids. And I want you to get ready for the new Master Elements project, The Spear and the Shield.
This vaccine isn't experimental. It's like a dandelion. You overlooking for their weird science.
DJ RP Beats and Sincere Love the God have taken this time during the pandemic to carefully craft the soundtrack to Black empowerment with hot tracks like God Mine, featuring Sadat X of the legendary group Brand Nubians.
We never die. I made an ancestral shrine. Let's see what's in the God's mind. Listen, I'm a law in the person of Sincere Love the God. That mean your arms too short like Carl Anthony Shaw.
God painted me black.
God painted me black. Thanks for that. I'm a original man.
A letter to Dr. Francis Cress Welsing.
I say to the ancestors. Dear Dr. Francis Cress Wilson, I just wanted to thank you for all the lessons you left us. So yes, I'm more than grateful.
And the controversial song Buck Breaking God today.
Why every black show they gotta have a transgender? Either I'm crazy or this gotta be a planned agenda.
Get ready, Black family. This is a much needed project. This is The Spear and the Shield.
Joining us in the first portion of the show is the famous Reverend Ike, the founder and senior minister of the United Christian Evangelistic Association. Reverend Ike has two new series of cassettes out. One is called Thank God for Money, the other Your Power of Visualization. And one must say this about Reverend Ike. You may be the most honest of all of the television preachers, since all of them are, in a sense, out for money. You're the only one saying it. Do you ever get that feeling?
Well, sometimes I think I am less apologetic in my attitude toward money. You know, the Apostle Paul said that the love of money is the root of all evil until I came along to correct him. It is the love, it is the lack of money more than the love of money that is the root of all evil. I think people do more evil things because of the lack of money than because of the plenitude of money.
But how do you react when people say that Ike bases his whole ministry on the dollar and making him rich?
Well, they are correct in a sense.
I'm going to say that for you.
First of all,
make you rich and that'll make them happy.
First of all, I got into this business of praying for people to get money and teaching people to get money because in my ministry, I found out that that was people's greatest problem. And I believe and I know that Jesus met people at the point of their need. Whatever their need was, Jesus met that need. When people were hungry, he provided bread. And there is a case in the Gospels where the apostle came to Jesus and said, Lord, we don't have money to pay our taxes. This is tax day, by the way. And Jesus told Peter to go fishing, and he would find money in the fish's mouth. And so, frankly, the Bible is a book of prosperity. The Bible also says, and God says this in the Bible, beloved, I wish above all things that you would prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospers.
But Jesus didn't get rich.
Well,
the preacher didn't get rich. In other words, how would you react to what Lenny Bruce once said, which is that any person who says that he got a calling from God to preach the word, who has more than one suit, while somebody has no clothes, is a cop-out.
I disagree with that because there are a lot of people who don't want a suit. We all don't want the same thing. There are people who don't want Rolls Royces. But just because other people don't want a suit, that should not be imposed upon me.
Yeah, I know, but if you're leading me to a better world and giving you a Rolls Royce makes it a better world for you, and you ask me to help you get a Rolls Royce.
I've also taught many people to get their own Rolls Royces. One of my very good supporters has me to give away Rolls Royces for them every year at their beauty show because I help to motivate them to start their own beauty products business on their own kitchen stove. And several times a year, they take over the Rolls Royce dealership in New York and have me present the key to new Rolls Royces to people who have sold millions of dollars worth of their products.
To your credit, do you think that of the television ministries, you are the most honest?
I'm not touchy about money. I don't apologize for my success and my prosperity. And most preachers are apologetic about it because they care what people think. I don't apologize for my success and prosperity because I remember growing up in South Carolina when lunch was 7 cents a day and I didn't have 7 cents for lunch. And it was always one of my prayers to get to the point where I could fulfill the 23rd Psalm, where it says, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And I teach this philosophy to a lot of people. I get a lot of people off of welfare because I teach people you can be what you want to be, you can do what you want to do, you can have what you want to have, if you believe in the God in you. So just as Jesus said, I go to prepare the place for you, so that where I am, there you may be also. So I teach people how to be just as prosperous as I am.
Were you the first black to break through the previous white control of what was television ministries?
I'm probably the first black person to become, let's say, an internationally known evangelist on this scale.
Now, Father Divine was famous, was he not?
Yes, but this was before the days of television.
Right, but on television, you certainly broke that barrier. Was that difficult?
No, it wasn't. You know, this was back in 1971. I had no better sense than to rent Madison Square Garden and to say, y'all come. And the people never got in. And that's where I started my television ministry.
They never got in. You mean you got to turn people away?
Yes, people had to turn people away. Over 20,000 people turned out. And so I put that meeting on television.
Self or suffer the consequences. The wisdom of Elijah's inside of the conscientious, so I move with it.
All right, we are here. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here. Peace, peace, peace to the family. Welcome to another episode of Sincere Love the GodCast. I am the God Sincere Love, and I'm here with my lovely co-host, nyctegur. We in the digital building. How's everybody doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I hope the family's doing well as well. You know, had a lit show last night. We're about to light it up again tonight with another special guest. And I'm super excited about it, and I hope everybody else is too.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Hope everybody is having a prosperous week so far, getting ready to go into the weekend and everything like that. Appreciate everybody tapping in with us tonight. As always, make sure that you hit that like button. Make sure that you share this out on your social medias. Let everybody know that we are live right now. We ask you guys to do that every time because you are our street team. You know what I'm saying? We can't depend on YouTube to allow us to be boosted into the algorithms. As you know, a lot of the subjects that we touch on our channel are not favorable to, you know, some of these corporations and whatnot. So we need you all to serve as our street team, as our promoters, and hit that like button and share this thing on out. And if you're new to the channel, make sure that you hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell so you can be reminded whenever we go live with new episodes of Sincere Love the GodCast. This is our weekly series, the Black Business Showcase. We do this every Wednesday and Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Time. And this is where we bring on entrepreneurs and business owners and have great conversations about business and get to know the entrepreneurs a little bit themselves. Also, make sure that y'all check us out on Sundays for our weekly broadcast where we cover current events and talk about issues that we feel are important to what's going on in Black society. And that's Sundays at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 p.m. Pacific Time. All right. Did I cover it?
You covered it. I think Wednesdays and Thursdays are my favorite, of the 3 days that we go live because we are talking to entrepreneurs. And I just feel like it's important because for me, again, I tell people all this time, I am still searching for what it is, that purpose in me, and I feel like I have several little talents, that I probably should, well, I'm not going to say probably, that I should take serious a lot more, and tap into my entrepreneurial spirit. I know it's in there. I just need to tug on it a little bit more. So for me, Wednesdays and Thursdays are my favorite, and because it's just motivating. I'm getting inspired. I promise y'all, I'm getting inspired. My shyness, that isn't going away. Like that isn't going away yet, but hopefully it will. And maybe I'll be on the other side.
Right.
There will be, interviewing me. So I hope that that's part of the future.
Right. Yeah, the stories are very inspirational. Yeah. Like you said, still on fire from last night. Shout out to Urban X. They came through, shut the place down. Right. And so, yeah, we got another exciting, dynamic guest just ahead for y'all tonight. And so let me let y'all know who we got coming to the stage tonight. And I'm going to read this entire bio. The bio is a little bit long.
That's all right.
But I'm going to read the entire bio because I need y'all to put some respect on her name. All right. Yeah. We got financial services founder and president, Dr. Dominique Reese, coming to the stage tonight. And so to let y'all know a little bit about her, award-winning financial coach, consultant, and trainer, Dr. Dominique Reese is the owner and president of Reese Financial Services, a boutique financial services and education firm that specializes in serving leaders, professionals, and entrepreneurs who are growing their net worth and serving in their divine purpose but have money problems to solve. Don't we all?
Don't we all, man?
Dr. Dominique is an expert in building solid financial foundations, creating and growing assets, and changing financial behaviors by uniquely blending financial education, financial coaching, and counseling, and financial planning for high-achieving individuals who work hard yet lack the financial order that they desire. With over 15 years as a finance professional, Dr. Dominique started her career as a financial advisor at Merrill Lynch, where she managed over $4 million for private high net worth clients. After being laid off in 2009, she started Community Tree LLC, where she provided one-on-one money management, counseling, individuals and financial education seminars and workshops for nonprofits, small businesses, colleges, and universities. Transitioning back to California in 2012, she became the director of business development for a financial technology company, where she was responsible for the training and business development of each financial advisor within the sales force, development of curricula, and 75 plus articles within the behavioral finance portal, while also serving as the financial planning software expert and liaison between the sales force and the tech team. Dr. Dominique has been featured in and sourced for a variety of media, including Associated Press, NerdWallet.com, NASDAQ.com, CreditCards.com, a subject matter expert in the documentary Resurrecting Black Wall Street, and recognized by the Association for Financial Counseling, Planning, and Education for being a high-quality practitioner and an award-winning national program of 60 financial coaches, piloted by the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau. Throughout her career, she has sat on panels and conducted breakout sections at conferences, called to speak and present at colleges and universities, and hosted local and community financial events. Passionate about serving people of color and an expert in financial education and management, she saw a need to serve more beyond the one-on-one model and still simply provide access to basic money principles and money management skills. She Amazon published Master My Money, 16 Steps to Solve Your Money Problems and Create a Foundation for Financial Freedom, and created courses such as Build, an 8-week self-paced and guided online personal finance program, and the sold-out online course for financial professionals, How to Start Your Own Financial Coaching Practice. She was born and raised in South Central Los Angeles, where she now resides with her 7-year-old son, Yahir. Dr. Dominique is a Crenshaw High School alumni, has a degree in economics from Princeton University, an honorary doctorate of humane letters from Global Ovid Day Seminary, I think I said that right, and University, and is currently pursuing her certified financial planner designation at the American College of Financial Services to become a certified financial planner. In 2020, she founded the Black Women's Investment Club, a Los Angeles-based investment club where women of color are introduced to investing and invest small amounts of large gains in the profitable private practice mastermind for financial educators, coaches, and counselors to leverage shared information amongst peer professionals while building a profitable private financial empowerment business. And tonight, she is our guest on Sincere Love the GodCast. And so without further ado, I would like to present to you our guest for this evening, Dr. Dominique Reese. Welcome to the GodCast, beloved.
Wow. I was like, who is that? Wow. Thank you, Father.
Man.
Smile.
Man.
First of all, 7-year-old son, graduated from Princeton, all these accolades, and she looks 12. I'm just saying.
I'll be 38 in November.
Girl.
Amazing. Amazing.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
we definitely will not have time to cover everything that you are tonight.
That's the past anyway, you know. We're
Right.
forward looking.
That's true. But speaking of the past, though, we like to start off the show with the origin story of the guest. And so, you know, we read the bio, we learned a little bit about who you are based on some of your accomplishments, so on and so forth. But since we're going to be talking more about the now and getting into the future, give us the origin story of where you are right now. You know what I'm saying? The origin story of Dr. Dominique Reese. What brought you to where you're at currently?
Well, definitely a calling. I feel quite led and divinely serving in my purpose. So yes, I've planned things and I set goals and I have aspirations for a vision. I have a vision, and that vision is to live in a world where every Black woman, leader, professional, and entrepreneur has a net worth of at least $100,000 so that she can take advantage of any opportunity to serve herself, her family, and her community. And for me, that's important because that's me. And having had a lot of money and, you know, done all kinds of things with it. I've learned so much, but I'm still learning. And yes, I am a financial professional and I've accomplished a lot at a very young age. So now being positioned to again, give back, I'm like, well, I know where I'm headed according to my plan, but things have happened where that wasn't a part of the plan. And so there's the life piece, right? So I'd say right now, having been inspired to work with Black women, because I'm a Black woman, to empower mothers financially, because I'm a mother, and to help leaders not be broke, because that's like a generational thing. And I'm way too blessed and abundant to even consider that. So knowing everything I know, I I know it's my calling to share it because it's way too much. I know way too much. And just being grounded in that kind of a mindset and framing of my life is what helps guide my decision making around business, what I do or don't do personally, just kind of remembering the vision, but also like, oh, I think I have an idea of my calling. So let's make sure that everything I do aligns with that vision and that calling. Every opportunity is not a good opportunity. Every level up ain't for me. But I think that framing and mindset has gotten me here. And that's my inspiration to fulfill that vision.
And it seems like what you're saying to me is in alignment with your energy.
Thank
You
you.
You seem very calm and at peace and not really pressed, not really pressed about things. And so, like you said, you think you found that purpose, at least for where you're at right now.
Right.
The purpose that you're supposed to be serving at this day and age, at this time in your life.
Yes.
You're clear on that. And so that allows you to not be distracted by, the shiny object syndrome. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's what I'm hearing and feeling from you.
Thank you. I would agree.
Right, and also she's allowing herself to maybe even evolve, from, again, she said before that so much has changed. Well, that was the past. So she's obviously evolved from one point to where she is now and has room for more growth, because obviously you have missions, it seems like. I'm through this mission, I'm done with that. Let me get on to the next mission, which part of your mission has always been serving your community, serving your people as well.
Yes. And oh, thank you, Father. I love that part because it's a great reminder for me that I'm not just what I've done. And as a solopreneur, as the oldest to do everything, as the first to do everything, as the only Black to do this, as the only female Black to do that, like it's lonely in those spaces where you're always pioneering some stuff and I don't know everything. So to really be able to say, all right, that's that. And now I'm going here and I actually have other interests as well. And I'm really good at this too. Is kind of this season. Yeah.
Right. But I still have questions though, because those experience, they help shape the Reese that we're getting today. You know what I'm saying? So,
Absolutely.
What was it like, as a Black woman being in some of those spaces, Princeton, Merrill Lynch, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We know that there's not a lot of reflections around you when you're walking in those spaces. And so how did that experience shape you? You know what I mean? Did you always have a level of consciousness about your Blackness, or were some of those experiences, would you attribute some of those experiences to like an awakening, so to speak?
All of everything that you said. and I'm so grateful. Thank you, Father, because it is a beautiful journey. And so I went to Crenshaw High, all Black school, inner city. Wasn't prepared for Princeton. Didn't know about Princeton except for Carlton on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was supposed to go to Princeton. That's all I knew about Princeton. And one day they came to Crenshaw to recruit. And I knew one of the persons coming to recruit. I'm like, Ed, what's up? We were in an after school program together, or weekend really. And so he's like, yeah, I got in. I was like, okay, right. You were going to Princeton. He's like, yeah, and now they're recruiting and this is the program and this is what they're doing. Make sure you apply. Okay, fine, whatever. And I applied just off the strength of him and my counselor who told us, like a specific group of us, to be there that day so we wouldn't miss the presentation. So again, everything in divine order. I realized that part of my life and my journey and how other people played a role to even be like, no, Dominique, you be here. And Miss Roy didn't play. So you listen to Miss Roy. Right. So, again, everything in divine order, everything that I'm able to claim success for wasn't of me. So just having that piece orchestrated led to Princeton. I got in, I went, and I wasn't prepared. I was like, whoa, I thought I knew how to write an essay. I don't know how to write an essay. I wasn't prepared. And then my math, like, I'm an economics major. I want to, this is math heavy. So I struggled. And I'm like, dang, my math teacher was like, listen, y'all could take the test or you could get a C. I took the test and I got a B. That was back in high school. So that's my math background. Like, you know what I'm saying? So now you're like, okay, I'm being challenged about what I actually know. And I thought I knew this, but I don't. So Princeton was a challenge initially. And I got the hang of it around the 4th year when it was time to go. Like, oh, okay, cool. So, yeah, 4th year, I'm out of here. I know how to do this college thing, out of here. Had a full-time job lined up, but because I had mentors, and so that's another thing, like mentorship played a huge role in that beginning for me. So the mentors got me a scholarship and an internship and mentorship, and that was like my deal coming out of a high school program. So I think for me, there was a lot of orchestrated moves, like being a part of an after school program, being a part of another program where there were mentorship, and it exposed me to the field of finance, really directed the path. And so I'm kind of bantering. I'm sorry.
No. Do your thing. Do your thing. Do your thing.
Okay.
We're learning.
So I'm like, oh, wow. Okay. I don't want to banter too much.
No, they're fine.
Directed the path and got into Merrill Lynch because I had mentors who were financial advisors there. It really taught me how to navigate both worlds. And I became interested in it. It was the thing that I wanted to learn more about, stocks and money and investing. So having mentors who were financial advisors, having access to an internship in the financial space, and then an internship where I could come home and get paid, everything aligned again, like perfect. And I learned and I understood. And I'm like, dang. So there are people who you don't know who make millions. And like, that was my first exposure to it. I don't know any millionaires. I don't come from money. No one's so what you see on TV, truly, you're a product of your environment. You don't know what you don't know. All those things apply to me, but having access to what was really out there changed the game. So now I'm working in the industry. I'm getting internships and I'm graduating from college with my full-time job already lined up, working at Merrill Lynch in marketing, eventually transitioned to private client side because I had a really cool manager, again, everything in divine order. And I knew how to operate in those spaces. It's not like I code switch, but I will say being light-skinned and non-threatening, whatever that means to people who understand that, it did pave a way for me. And because I was also smart and I know my stuff, you couldn't just get over on me. You couldn't just take advantage of me. And thank you, Father, for the women in my lineage who are fierce and direct, because you also wouldn't just get off on me either. And I knew how to, my tongue is so slick, but professional. So like I could get things back off in ways where you just couldn't take advantage of me. And you didn't make me feel like I was the token, because I didn't carry myself that way. I didn't believe in that. I knew how I got there. And I got there from networking. I got there from taking advantage of programs, going on every Saturday to this after school program. Like all of that was my discipline. But eventually that's what it allowed me to do, become a financial advisor at Merrill Lynch, navigating these worlds of rich and poor, literally, because I didn't have money, but I'm managing money for people who have money. So I learned, I knew like, oh, that's what you do. I sit back and watch the white boys and how they talk. Okay, cool. And when I say non-threatening, I say that because I've always had long hair. And then when I had locks, I always kept my locks real groomed and maintained. So I always had a certain image that I put out in my workspace. But my mom always taught me to look decent. So like, again, this ain't nothing I don't know to do, but in those spaces, for them, oh, your hair is so nice, and I've seen it different ways, Like, okay, I pick up what you putting down, and you navigate the space. Yeah, we're different. We're not all
Can
the
I
same.
touch it? Can I touch it?
And I'm like, well, I so navigating spaces was a learned thing, but I think too, just my gifts. I speak well. I can go on a knowledge with you one-on-one. A lot of them, are smart, but some of them aren't. And I'm like, you don't even have the degree I have, and we're in the same workspace. So you cannot intimidate me. I have to keep a strong mindset about I belong here, just like I did in Princeton. It's tough as I don't know what. I had to get a tutor, but Princeton is a place where it's hard to fail. And so they're like, what do you need? Because what do you need? You need a tutor? Okay, here you go. You need time off? Okay, there you go. What do you need? So, so I had those supports divinely orchestrated in my thinking that helped me navigate. I was able to pick up skills and differentiate myself and have vision up until I got laid off. That's out of my control. Great recession hit. Merrill Lynch went under. Bank of America bought us out. When they bought us out, they got rid of the program. That got rid of me. Cool. Went to Paris for 10 days. What else do you do when you get laid off and you don't know what to do? So a group of friends, I went and just kind of figured out what I want to do. And that was a great thing too, because I've never been there. And I'm like, dang, I got money to go. Them refunds on them loans be hitting. Okay. And, like just kind of trying to do things different. I've never seen anybody do that in my family, get laid off and go somewhere, or get laid off and do nothing, kind of, Right. So again, just being uniquely orchestrated in the way everything's in divine order. So eventually I'm like, I like this, but I want to teach people about money. When I was an advisor, that's how I built my business. I would do seminars and workshops, and everybody but millionaires would come. So that taught me that there's a need in the market. Again, I'm kind of business minded. So, okay, keep doing that. So when I got laid off, I started my own business in New York. I started pounding the pavement the same way I would do in my business as a financial advisor, but say, hey, do you teach about money? No. Okay, well, can I? Okay, cool. Then I'm like, all right, do you have a budget? So now I'm asking for money. Sometimes the answer was yes. Like, okay, we winning now. And just kind of, again, learning as I go, learning as I do, but serving and educating. I'm like, man, how to protect your portfolio in a down market. Let's talk about it. What's a portfolio? Oh, okay. Let's back up. Okay. Now let me meet you where you are. So how many of you are investing? Okay. Right. Okay. So doing that work, and it was rewarding and I loved it. And my name got out there and I start getting more gigs. And then I feel like I hit a ceiling. You hit the ceiling. I don't know what else to do. I've never built a business before. I'm a solopreneur. I'm in New York City doing everything I know to do. I get a call from one of my mentors. Hey, there's an opportunity here in California. I have been gone for 11 years. This will take me back home. So made all the money I knew how to make on my own. Opportunity came to go work at a fintech in the Bay. Took it, moved there, going great, got promoted, did all that you read about, and then got defunded. And that's the thing about financial services. I love it because I'm a risk lover. Like, I love risk. So it's like you could work in this industry and make a lot of money one day, but no, you might not have a job tomorrow. So stay ready. But there's a lot of opportunity, especially now as well. So moved back to Cali, started working at the startup, did really well, got defunded, saw the layoff coming because I had been laid off before, wrote a book about about how to recognize a layoff, never published it, but I still have it in the files. And was like, all right, cool. A week later, I found out I was expecting. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna be a mom, laid off and pregnant. This is crazy. Didn't plan on this. So again, when the plans don't go as planned, right. My son's father is here in LA. So I'm like, dang, all my family's in LA. Morning sickness became all day sickness. I can't do anything for myself. Moved back to LA. Now I'm like, what do I do? I'm going to just do this mom thing and start my business again. What do you think I'm going to do? Right. No, that's not what God said. God said, no, you're not. You're going to just do what I tell you. And that was be a mom. So I was a full-time mom, just kind of at home learning how to be a mom and not working, but financially I was straight. So again, thank you, Father, everything in divine order. I practice what I preach. I had money put away, but lived off of it. Son's father and I did not work out, so that relationship was no more. And that kind of facilitated the rock bottom that I was about to hit.
Okay.
Hit rock bottom. All rock bottoms, social rock bottom, financial rock bottom, emotional rock bottom. It was just a lot. I'm a mom. I can't work. I love to work. This is harder than I thought. He won't stop crying. I'm crying. What is this mom thing? Nobody told me it would be this hard. And I'm trying to run it. Like, all of my worlds were colliding. And we don't talk about this stuff in our community. So where I'm the one who's like, give me a book for it, or let me go to counseling, or let's talk about it. Or it's like, you're strong. You got it. You get through it.
I'll say that we're expected to be strong.
Right. I'm like, but I'm the strong one and we get weak. But nobody asks the strong one, are you weak?
Right?
Do you need something? Right. So that part of life shaped me. Long story short, came out of it and was like, all right, attracted an opportunity to become a financial coach in LA, serving veterans. Awesome. Never worked with veterans before. Learned a ton. Some of the most rewarding work I have ever done. And was on a contract. The contract ended. And was like, all right, I'm ready to go back to full-time entrepreneurship. So started working my business again. And let's see, made my previous employer my client. So
how does that work?
Wow.
Well, I mean, when you're shifting, you really sell all your assets. You're like, listen, you know the culture, you know their systems, you might have built some of their systems. Whatever you're doing, they could get it cheaper now because they don't pay all the taxes to keep you as an employee. So become a contractor. Work out the hourly rate so that you work part-time, like 20 hours or less, but you're making that full-time income. So, make the numbers work. So now you're working half the time and making the same as when you were there as an employee. And now you're kind of like nothing changed, right?
That's what I was going to say. Is it the same job description?
Same job description.
Wow.
Everything.
That's
Provide
pimping.
financial education services for this program, that program. People already know you. We have the money. The grant just came through. Let's go. Okay. Yeah.
Right, hold on. You got to unpack this one. You got to give us the process on that. There's a process to that. I never heard this play before. So I
have it recorded as a training.
Okay. And what's the name of the training?
It's called employer to client training.
Making
your employer your client.
Making your employer your client. Can you give us? Can you sprinkle a little bit on us?
Yeah.
You don't got to give the whole course away.
Listen, it's a free training. I do it. I can send the link for it after. Again, you have assets. You know all these things. You know the systems. You know the culture. You know the roles. You know the people. You know the decision makers. What's left to know? So if you're leaving or something's ending, you want to maintain the relationship, but also while you're there, see, this is probably the part we don't talk enough about. While you're there, you've got to operate like an entrepreneur. You've got to own your department. You've got to own your role. You can't be the lazy employee. You can't just be clocking in for the check, because that shows up a certain way, and then we can describe it when we see it. But when you show up practicing excellence and having pride and taking accountability and responsibility for your roles, you're differentiating yourself. Guess how many people show up like that to work every day? Out of 100 people, how many would you say?
7.
And those are single digits. That's sad, right? And that's just the people poll. So we don't need any other statistics to tell us or convince us. Like, people are not practicing excellence. So I learned early, doing the smallest things in an excellent way goes so far. And it made these relationships sticky while I was there. So now that I'm leaving, I'll change her name just for sakes of it all. Lisa was like, hey, I know when the grants come through because I write them. I love how you work. And I think they need this in that program. This program could definitely benefit from that. I'm on this one. This is a whole nother board, but I'm going to refer you. I'm going to introduce you to that. Now I got stuff being thrown at me. I'm attracting it. Now work is not work. I'm just kind of living in my purpose, doing my thing. But again, everything in divine order. So that's how you show up when you operate. And, you know, we start our businesses so we don't have to work for people, so we can have autonomy and we can control things, but you still have to practice excellence. So when you're in that job is not, it's just a means to an end. And it's really a way to learn and get paid. That's how I always looked at a job. I'm learning on their dime and I'm about to master this system. I'm going to take this system and I'm going to implement it in my business or my idea or teach it. Because I'm like, oh, this is how they are making this happen. You know, you, inside the machine. Spread the love, share the wealth.
I'm gonna have to hit you with one of these.
I knew it was coming.
I'm gonna have to hit you with one of those. I mean, that's some gangster shit right there.
Honestly, because I'm gonna keep it a buck. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep it a buck. I don't go to work with that mindset. I literally go, I'm here to make my money and that's it. Like literally the end. Bye. Can you stay? No. That's just I'm keeping it 1,000. Like real.
Imagine if that was your business and you were a worker that was hired at your business. Would you want to keep that worker?
I mean, they did their 8 hours. If they're doing their 8 hours, I'm not saying I don't work.
Are they producing though? It's about the production.
Definitely a producer. Definitely a producer. And I kind of work in the financial world too. But yeah. But I don't like all that extra, you know, throwing stuff on my desk because you don't want to do it. I don't do that.
No. See, that's trying to take advantage of it. We have boundaries. We implement boundaries in the workplace too.
Like mine, I overperform, but you know, anything I don't take others' tasks, if that makes sense.
No, and we shouldn't.
But what you were describing to me, it reminds me of something that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches, and that's called the steal away method. And he talks about, you know, when you get on these jobs and you working for these white folks, you're supposed to soak up the game, number one, because these people practice excellence. That's the reason why they're winning. That's the reason why they're so far ahead, because the systems that they put in place, they make sure that it's excellent, because that's the only way that they can compete. You know what I'm saying? That's the advantage that they have over you. You know what I'm saying? The systems that they have in place that's been passed down. You know what I mean? And so there's a protocol. And so he's saying when you get on these jobs, you're supposed to master that, understand exactly how they make things operate. And also with your finances, you practice the steal away method. You know what I'm saying? By not just exhausting all of your income to just pay bills and trick it off on the weekends. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to be stacking up some of that paper, planning your exit strategy. You know what I'm saying? And so listening to you, that brought that jewel to mind. So I had to sound the alarm on that one right there.
Sound the alarm. No, I definitely believe in practicing excellence. I'm not perfect. I don't believe in perfection. I just believe that you be the best you could be as often as you can, which, you know, as much as you can. And then again, showing up in a way where it's like, we don't have to reinvent systems. There are models for it. Sometimes I'm really annoyed that they're white people models, if I may say so. But when you see how wealth is built in one way, why reinvent the wheel? Right. And it's not like we don't come from wealth anyway. We just don't see it. We're not educated about it. And they're archaic systems of wealth creation, but they were based on like natural resources too. So it's like it's really kind of cool to learn about wealth creation through that lens. But given we got the dollar and cash, we're going to deal with that. But what those systems represent are replicable models that we can implement. So I'm like, well, let's just do this. Like, budget. It works and it changes how you think. And then you're going to start saving. And when you start saving, you go have something. And when you have something, you don't operate like you don't have nothing. So your behavior starts to shift, and how you think about things starts to shift even further. Everything in divine order, everything spills into each other. You're getting educated, but you're practicing because ideally you're working, you got money coming in, so you can implement these strategies and what you're learning. But we've got to take the action. We soak up the knowledge, but then we don't do it. And then we do it and we get burnt and then we get scared. Or we don't do it because we're scared. So action is big for us. And I heard Sir Dr. Frazier say, with our people, you have to just keep saying the same thing over and over. And that was so encouraging to me, because sometimes I'm like, dang, I feel like what I'm doing is real basic, but every time I do it, it's so rewarding and it's so impactful, and it's transforming lives. I was going to say changing lives, but it's really transforming lives. So no, Dominique, you're where you're supposed to be. You just got to keep saying it, and you can't get tired of saying it or thinking that you should be saying something else. So sometimes that's really it, because I get imposter syndrome too. So it's real all around.
So behaviors, when you're working with people and successful people who tend to make decent money, but they still broke. Yeah. What are some of the common behavior patterns that you recognize that most people have, bad habits that most people have, with their money?
Well, you could probably guess this one too. Overspending on food and or other desires. Let's just start there, right?
About to drop another one.
Variable expenses at the end of the day. But then behavioral, that's like an area. Behaviorally, I'd say it's first driven by mindset, because mindset plus behavior equals outcome. So we could look at the outcome, kind of guess the behavior, and then really just deduce really how they think about things. So most of those clients, and I kind of chuckle when you was like, they're successful because they're making a lot of money, but I'm really detaching myself from that, right? Because they're not successful. I mean, they come on the consultations feeling heavy burden, and they're making the money, but there's still this heavy burden. And so it's like, I want to see this result, but here's where I am. Here's what's important to me right now. And here's what I'm willing to do about it. And what they want and what they're willing to do about it don't align, right? And then there's this.
Say that one more time.
Just that what they want, what they want, and what they're willing to do about it don't align. Yet they have the expectation of the same outcome. And as if it's like, well, there's something you can do. And it's like, well, really, we just have to do some work that you can't see. And then you don't want to pay for that all the time because you don't see the value if you can't see the results of the work. But it's mindset work. I can't give you the strategy to save according to this strategy that I'm building if I know you don't believe that saving something over nothing is important, because you haven't been doing that. So why would it's all biblical too. It's like, why would I pour new wine in an old wineskin?
Right.
You got to change your wineskin, which is your mindset, and then be willing to receive things that you may not know, don't agree with. Sometimes our people are proud and they're embarrassed. So a lot of the mindset and the feelings and the emotional becomes the barrier to the result. And then if you don't value fixing that because you can't see it, it's like, well, why would I pay you to help me with that? Well, because we got to do that work before I get to the numbers. And my philosophy is money is behavioral. So if we want to change the numbers, we have to change the behavior.
I get that. I totally get that right there.
I had to learn that myself. And honestly, I learned it some years ago. I was working for City Financial, and I was in the loss mitigation department, and we would help people get modifications or underwrite modifications on mortgages. And so I had to always look at bank statements. And this lady just literally didn't qualify. She had the money to afford her mortgage. I'm like, you make the money, the debt to income ratios are not where they should be in order for you to qualify. So we went Now, I went down her bank statements with her line for line, y'all. And just in Starbucks and food for the month, just 1 month, she was
1,200.
well up. She was like $500-$600. And the thing about it is, she was going to Starbucks several times a day. She was, I guess, addicted to it. Sometimes she's treating, a coworker. Sometimes they're going to restaurants, not just fast food. They were going to restaurants and spending money, and she was just doing it. And when I broke it down to her, she was like, "I just never looked at it like that." So it made me do the same thing to myself. That one situation made me do it myself on myself, and I was like, "Hold up." Like, I'm kind of in the same boat, not that much, but I spend
Yeah.
money in a month. I'm talking like some people's car payment.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I was spending that literally on fast food and going to Starbucks. So I bought me a machine here, so I make my own lattes and stuff like that at home. Like, I had to change my mindset. I bought the machine. I have all the creams and the syrups and stuff, and I make it at home. And I take my to go cup and I make it at home. That's what I did for myself though, to save money, because I understood I'm wasting too much. This is going to savings. I'm over here worried why my savings account is this big. Well, that was my savings right there.
Right.
It
You
was
ate
better.
it.
It was yeah.
We eat our savings.
I'm sorry.
I said we eat our savings.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're literally eating it away. And I love what you mentioned in terms of going line item by line
Mm-hmm.
item. There's a tool that I developed called the 30-day look back. It's not rocket science, but it's my method. And it's truly logging every expense from the past 30 days. And to that point, it does two great things. It gives you visibility around the frequency with which you spend money, which behaviorally is extremely important, because if you can limit the opportunities to spend behaviorally, you're going to spend less. So looking at how often you're going places, grocery store 3 to 4 times a week, is that necessary? Let's reflect on how that happened. And then you say, well, how do you feel about that? I think I don't like that. Okay, well, is that something you want to start, stop, change, or continue? You have the option. I want to change it. Okay, what does that look like for the next 30 days? Maybe I put together a list once a week and I try to go once a week. Great, let's do that. So now we're changing your behavior. So you're supposed to sit, do your list. Obviously, that's some intention. Your attention, energy flows where attention goes. So that's, if you're putting energy and attention into sitting down and writing a list, that's going to impact your numbers. And then your numbers should begin to look more the way you want them to look, because you have intention around what you're doing with your numbers behaviorally. So again, the behavior drives the numbers. Oh, okay, I just go to the grocery store less with intention, with the list. That's new to my behavior, but it works.
That's so important.
It's an example of what the work looks like, really.
It sounds basic, but that's super important right there. And really, that's what I was going to ask you. Like, okay, so let's say you have a client who's willing to adjust the mindset. They get what you're saying about the mindset piece, and they like, you're right. I be tripping. Okay, what do I do next? Here, how much does it cost? Here's the consultation fee. What's the next step? And it sounds like that's where it would be, like something like that, creating that itemized list, adjusting those behavior patterns, and figuring out what's needed, what's not needed. You know what I'm saying? Where I'm going to pull back, where am I going to scale?
Right. And money's behavioral. So it's management and it's numbers. And we slack on the management side. We want the numbers to I want my numbers to look like this, and I want this, I want this. You got to manage it. That's why management, I believe everything's management. But if people think subconsciously, I don't have enough money to hire somebody to help me. No. That's backwards thinking. That's why you need to hire someone to help you manage more money. So you get the management begets more money, because your energy, again, where does energy goes? It goes where attention flows. So if I'm giving my numbers attention, what I'm tracking begins to increase. My awareness of my numbers is like always top of mind, subconsciously and consciously. I don't make decisions the way I used to. I might be slower to making financial decisions, which allows me time to think, understand the situation. So when you create pause, those are small opportunities, again, to just be like, wait, should I really do this? Or should I use the card versus cash? Even something small like that. Because everybody's not going to change just like that or get it. But for the people who get it, it'd be the small behavioral mindset and physical things that you can do. Oh, I was going to spend 75. I only spent 50. Transfer that 25 to the savings right now. Now it's not a paper gain. It's a realized gain in your savings account because the money really went there. So little small practical things, but that behavioral piece, it drives the results that we see with the numbers.
I know what I want to ask you. You have a 7-year-old son, right?
He's 8 now.
He's 8. Okay, my son just turned 7. Did I say his name right, by the way?
Yair.
Love you too.
Yair.
Sorry, my auntie walking in. She like,
oh, no. That's fine. Yair. So yeah, my oldest son's name is Zaire, but I have a 7-year-old, and I try to teach him now about money, about finances. He has a different books that deal with money and finances. He has like flashcards and stuff like that. And, I'm not an expert myself, but I just want him to be familiar with the language and just plant the seeds. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not really sure about particular methods. So somebody like you probably has a better idea or a better strategy of exactly what to do with a young child like that. So is there anything that you do with your son that you would give advice to other parents?
Yes. So everything in divine order, and our children are quite unique and different, right? So what I learned about Yair and his learning style, he's a kinesthetic learner. The more he can touch, feel, and like be distracted by, the better for him. So he works with a lot of managing things in his hands. And I'm like, all right, I think the envelope system would be good for him because you have to take things out, move them around. But I've hired him in my business. So when he works, I pay him, we sign receipts and stuff. So there's that piece too, right? And then when it's time for him to get paid, he has 3 envelopes: income, savings, taxes. And he's 8. And so we defined each one of those. This is what income is, this is what savings is, this is what taxes are, and these are why they're important. But really it's about, for me, even though that is technical and it's real, it's really teaching him to have discipline. So don't spend everything you get. Every resource you get, you don't need to exhaust. It's not even abundant behavior. So divvy things up for purpose, be purposeful, again, the intention. So I try to get those kinds of lessons through the money management techniques and things like the envelope system. And then entrepreneurship, obviously he's hired in my business. He has to work and gets paid by the hour and stuff like that. So he's picking up all these little things, but really that's the overall for me is discipline. Because if he gets discipline, it's going to carry over to every other area: his financial life, his mental life, his emotional life, his social life, his professional life. He'll know what discipline looks like. And again, I'm practicing excellence. So financial excellence, this is what it looks like. I didn't see my parents and grandparents, aunties, and people budgeting or taking this and moving it here or physically managing money. So how do we know what it looks like? A lot of us don't. And that's behavioral, but it can be taught. So that, for me, if you can identify your child's learning style, because every child learns differently, and then identify a technique that aligns with that style, and then kind of just test it out, see how they like it, see how you like it. And if you can get consistent with doing it once a week, do it once a week. Yair typically works like once a week. So we're dealing with money once a week. Now you have consistency. that's what adults pay me to help them with, consistently budgeting. So if we could get it in them at that age, they like, yeah. Imagine our kids at college, like, man, my mom used to budget every week, make me sit down at the table.
Right.
And we would talk about where the money went. And she, see?
Yeah, I have a 17-year-old that's working now. So I literally make him every 2 weeks when he gets paid, he has to take half of his check, minimum $500, and put it in the savings account. Period, point blank. I have access to his bank account. So I'm always on there like, did you need to do that? Like, because it's still budgeting, even though, out of, after you put your money in your savings, you have, say, another, $300-400 that you can basically play with, I guess, for 2 weeks until you get paid. Well, I feel like that's too much money to spend every 2 weeks. Like, you fill up your car, you really only go to school and work. Work is a mile away, less than a mile away, to be honest. You don't need anything. You buy your essentials. You don't have to buy deodorant, lotion, and stuff every month. I feel like you really only need to get it every maybe 2-3 months, because you buy the large bottles, but be practical about your spending. Just because your friends say, let's go to the mall and stuff, and you can go do that, but window shop. If you know that you want a soda, drink one before you leave, or I don't know. Just like, don't do the unnecessary spending, because when he first got his car, which is just in May, he was hanging with his friends. They're going to the beach, they're going to the mall, they're just hanging out, driving, right? Mm-hmm. And I'll say in like a week, y'all, with these gas prices, he spent over $200. And I was like, well, what's going on with all the gas? Y'all can't be hanging out like that. Like, who's giving gas? Oh, nobody. They don't have jobs, Mom. I was like, well, they can't ride.
No snaps on the petrol.
Yeah, no, we got to give up. Who got 10 ahead or something, So, but I had to teach him that, like, it's okay because they don't have jobs or whatever, if y'all want to ride sometimes, but y'all got to piece up on gas, because that's taken from you. You can't afford to take them around. You know what I mean? Now, it's fine with your little girlfriend. That's your girlfriend. If you want to buy her a soda, you want to buy her something to eat, that's what you're supposed to do as a young man. But,
she got to have some snaps on the petrol, too.
No, I would not let her get some gas. I refuse. Now, what I do like that they do, when they go to the movies, he'll usually buy the tickets, she'll buy the popcorn.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Yeah. So I appreciate that, because she does, help out. But I had to get on him about that, because I was like, dude, $200, on gas. Like, where you go? You work up the street. Schools, you can walk to school. And he was like, well, they don't have no money. And we was going here, we was going there. And I was like, no.
The 30-day look back would be great for him.
Yeah. Oh, we fixed it. We absolutely fixed it. Now they come and volunteer gas now. They come and volunteer the money right now. But I had to change it, because he thought I was being mean. You shouldn't be like that. Like, what am I supposed to do? Pass them by?
Yeah. And see, like, the language, right? Like,
if they get on the bus, they have to pay bus fare. If you call Uber, you have to pay Uber. You're no different. You're actually cheaper.
That's a good one. Yeah. Underpaid, for real. And I think that's a thing too, when you come into resources that your people don't have, there is this stage of like just wanting to be helpful and wanting to spread the love and share the wealth. I definitely went through that as well. And that's something I think most of us learn through and kind of grow through, because you could read about it, but I don't think until it shifts in your mindset. My mentors always would tell me that, like, don't do this for your family. You're really trying to, get yourself stable first. I was like, what do you mean? They're always there for me. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So culturally, that didn't resonate at all. Mm-hmm. Kind of pissed me off at some points too, because I'm like, how you gonna tell me not to worry about my family? But I'm first generation. I'm the first doing this. 15, 16 years later, I understood what they meant. Yeah. And still everything in divine order. I think there's also some cultural order that we honor. So you could tell us, well, don't do this, don't do that. And it's in a good space, because you don't want your family's responsibilities to become your own, especially when you're trying to build your foundation and stuff like that. But then it shifts. You become the financial leader. And that's what I realized. Begin to take pride in the fact that you have the resources. Now model what it looks like to keep them, to grow them, to learn more about it. And that's also a mindset shift. So becoming more responsible, not spending everything I have just because I could. So adopting another mindset. Just because I can doesn't mean I should. And saying that before, just because I can doesn't mean I should. Okay. What am I working towards right now? Again, it creates the pause. Just because I can doesn't mean I should. Dang, I can't treat my girls for the brunch this weekend, but should I?
Should I?
Oh, man, that's like, what, 130? I could put that in my debt reduction or, my savings or in my investment strategy for the month. You begin to find purpose for that money. So be purposeful. Really, really try to assign every cent.
What do you think about, because my son again is 17, he's in his last year of high school. He doesn't plan on going to college. He plans on going to trade school, early trade tech, by the way. But what do you think about credit? When is a good age for them? I have him on one credit card that I barely use, but when I do use it, I just, pay it off completely just to help build him up now. I just put him on it maybe a year ago, and I'm just trying to do that now to build his credit up for later. What do you think about that as far as when should they be introduced to stuff like that themselves?
I think is as early as they could begin to build the report. So, normally I'd say between 16 and 18, the education, the applicable, meaning like there's something that can really impact them at that time, and start building their trade lines around that age. But the education of credit as early as possible. And then if you have good credit, excellent credit, then making your child or who you care for, an authorized user on your account to help boost their profile is also great, because I think when we have privilege, we should exercise it. And that's one way we can exercise privilege with our children. And it directly relates to wealth building, because when you learn how to use credit, that's really other people's money. So it's not a saying for no reason. Learn how to use other people's money diligently and responsibly, because it can help build wealth. So I love those concepts of credit. It's such a nebulous thing that you could do nothing and it changes, right? So we don't control a lot about credit, which is why I think it's important to introduce it early. You get as much practice with it as you can, because you're gonna have the mishaps. Everybody's got to learn, for themselves. So they still might make the mistakes you didn't want them to make. But when they do, knowing the strategies to rebuild, always around those 5 factors. Learn the 5 factors that impact your credit, and then build a strategy that impacts that factor. If you do that, you're gonna see a shift in your score and your profile. And you just kind of do that because those are the only factors that impact your score. So spend less, reduce the debt, add a trade line or a mix of credit. That doesn't mean just go out and try to get debt because you want a good mix. But when you have a good mix, you're scored favorably. When you don't have a good mix, and let's just say it's all credit cards, your score is weighted less for that particular area. So, it's like it's nebulous, but there are strategies. There are tactics that if you learn them, you master them, and then when you need them, you just kind of whip them out. Introduce your children as early as you can to the education of credit. And then if you can, your credit is good and rising and trending upward, make them an authorized user. Develop that trust with them financially. Educate them about it because you're on the line for some things. But as early as you can, because I think our counterparts do that. And relative to our counterparts, we already enough behind. So let's do what we can to get caught up, exercise privilege when we can. And then on the building tip or rebuilding tip, just work those 5 strategies. work those 5 strategies to rebuild and or to build. If you're like, hey, I'm 18, I'm fresh out, I don't have a profile, and I didn't have no parents who could put me on an authorized user, get one of those credit builder loans, credit builder credit cards. They work. Self is a great one. I've used Self because I'd like to tap products before I suggest them. If I haven't used it, I'm not going to say too much about it. If anything, or if it's something I haven't tried or someone I haven't worked with, I'm not going to suggest it. But Self really works, and it does what it says it's going to do. It's for the person who wants to rebuild or who just doesn't have any privilege to exercise and is building from scratch.
Okay.
So is that like one of those consolidated debt thing?
No. The Self credit, so Self is the company. It is a credit building credit card through a loan. So they basically say, hey, we're going to help you save, but it's through a loan that you'll pay on every month. So you're going to take out a loan, you're going to pay $23 a month, and at the end of 12 months, you'll have, $500 saved. Like, oh, okay, a few $100 saved at the end of the month. But because of the loan I'm taking out, my payments are now being reported to whatever bureaus they report to. Self reports to all 3. Or maybe it's 2, but now you've got a trade line. So typically when we take out debt, there's no benefit to it, aside from having a credit mix. So I've got that type of debt in my profile now. But with these products, they're innovative. They're allowing you to have something on the back end, but really you're doing it to build your credit. And having the savings there is kind of like the perk. So almost like a match, but it's your own money and you are paying some interest on it. And some people may have gripes with that. But everybody's not in a situation where they have privilege or they have somebody who could help them. And that makes sense for them. So you pay that interest fee to take out the loan. You make your monthly payments. You're now getting a trade line. You're building credit at the end of the 12 months. Hey, how do you want us to send you the money that you saved over the, this past 12 months? A check, or we can transfer it to a credit card. Oh, okay. Now I have a secured credit card. That worked out for me. Now, start making your payments through your credit card, use it responsibly. They begin to increase your limit. So now you're getting an unsecured credit limit as well, which is more traditional. So that's what happened with Self. There was the money that I transferred from my loan once I paid it off. Now my savings, put it on there as a secure deposit. Now I have a credit card that operates like a secured card. But then they started to increase the limit and say, okay, you have now an unsecured limit, operates like a more traditional credit card. Limit increased. Now you have like a $2,000 credit card when you started off with a $500 loan, because you can renew the loan if you like, maybe continue to work on your credit, or they've just increased your limit due to your good behavior, paying your payments on time, demonstrating that you're a good borrower. So they will increase your limit. And I thought this is great because it gets at the behavior. Just do these simple things and we'll make it easy for you to build credit. It's so difficult, especially for our people, because stuff be so jacked up. And then we don't know what we don't know. And then we don't take action when we do know. So it just be jacked up for so long. But it's so simple to fix it. And these are the types of products that actually work for the consumer, not just for the financial institution.
Sounds good. I like it. I like
that too. And I do make my son pay the credit card sometimes. Like I need socks or something. I'll say, well, you know what? Use the credit card this month because I haven't used it and so I barely use it. And I'll just say, give me the money. You can go ahead and use the card and then I'll just pay, whatever you use, show me the receipt, give me that in cash, and I'll put that on the credit card bill next month just to keep that trade line going.
Absolutely.
And you're not.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
I'm trying, y'all.
What?
No, you're doing.
What do you suggest as far as diversifying, where you keep your money at other than just a savings account?
Well, savings accounts aren't paying anything that's going to get you rich.
Right.
So, right, it's like, all right, well, what do you do when you do have excess cash? You invest it. And what does that look like? Well, that depends on your investor profile. What is my investor profile? It's just the type of investor you are right now. Because again, we move with intention. We move with purpose with our money. So yes, you don't want it sitting in a savings account. So you want it to make more than that. But what is it for? So now I need you to think about, what are we building? Right? I'm a builder. So what are we building? What are we building towards? Why do you want more money? I know that sounds very counterintuitive to ask, but it is so important that we start with our goals, because it makes the difference when distractions come up, when you have that moment of like practicing excellence and not through your money. So yeah, you could say, well, where's the hottest thing? Where should I put the money to make it grow? Why do you want this money? What are you doing with it? Building generational wealth. I'm kind of sick of the term generational wealth, because for a lot of us, how can you build something you've never seen? Yes, it's a faith walk, but it's really behavioral and tactical. So you can't just be like, oh, I come into a lot of money. Right. But do you know how to preserve and grow the money? Do you know how to manage the risk around the money? Now you need to explore working with professionals who do this all day, because you don't. And we don't know what we don't know. So then that's where the education around the value of paying for professional financial guidance, what it looks like to work with a professional. What kind of professional should I be working with? Because we can get ourselves so far. We know how to make money, especially right now. We're creating a lot of millionaires. But do we know how to keep the money and really invest it? Even real estate is cool. People do real estate. That's an illiquid asset. And it's a great asset and it's a wealth builder. But have things outside of real estate. So some passive income streams, stocks, dividends, stocks that pay dividends, bonds that pay interest, royalties. We're content creators. So when you create content, you should protect it. And if it is something that you can publish and get paid for every unit sold, now you can get royalties for the life of that content, essentially for your life. Right. Royalties for life. That sounds great. Mm-hmm. So publish something, create and publish and protect our content. Where else do you put your money? And then in a business. So, if you have causes or ideas that you believe in, and a small business owner, invest $1,000 or $500 or $10,000 into their business. Our people got to also look at risk different, because we do stuff like, I don't want to invest in the stock market because it's too risky. Mm-hmm. But yet you keep your money in your Crown Royal bag tucked in the stock drawer, as if that's not risky behavior.
Why are you talking about me?
Sock drawer in the back by the underwear part, that's risky behavior. So how is that any different than putting it where there's a whole system built to make money for it? So the mindset shifts. But I think knowing where to put money is based on who you are as an investor, why you're investing, your risk tolerance, your time horizon. That's just how long do you expect to have this money at work? And if you don't need it in the short term, that's one criterion to go ahead and move forward with the strategy. But if you don't have savings, or you're going to need the money in like a year or two, it's not the time to be trying to put some money away. You still have some short-term plays where you need liquid assets. If you put in money away in an investment, it's not as liquid. And if you pull it, now you're subject to fees or penalties. And it kind of just mess up the whole purpose of investing that money, because now you took a loss with the fees and the penalties. So
almost like a 401k then, because
absolutely,
it's your money, even though the company may or may not match. I wouldn't do it unless they're matching, but you're being penalized for saving your own money. Is that not the weirdest thing?
And it's because it's a retirement designated account. And I would imagine too, psychology and behavior. People will not save, so we're going to force them to save kind of passively, and then you'll have something later on. Because if you're left to your own devices, you might not have anything left later on, and we can't take all of that on as the government.
Right.
So
we know we ain't teach you nothing. So
right, 401k is just tax code. It's all, tax related. So yeah, we ain't trying to take on all of that.
Well, speaking of publishing, let's talk about your book that you got on Amazon. Master My Money, 16 Steps to Solve Your Money Problems and Create a Foundation for Financial Freedom.
Yeah, I was just looking like, where's the copy? Yes, I published this book because I knew I couldn't work with everyone who wanted to work with me for whatever reason, not ready to implement and change their lifestyle, can't afford it, just not ready, too busy, no, they're not going to be focused. Now you can still get the same exact strategies that I use with my clients and kind of do it yourself until you're ready to graduate to working with a professional, whether it's me or another financial coach, or if you're ready for a financial planner, or if you're ready for a financial advisor. But this is really about the beginning, setting the foundation. You can work through the book like a workbook. So again, it really is do it yourself, self-guided, but it's all the same principles. So you don't have to work with me one-on-one in real life, in person. I can meet you where you are through my book.
Okay, cool. That sounds dope. So, did you work with Vision Avant on because I know that's kind of how you came across our platform.
So I don't know how I found her, but because of my book, and I'm like, I feel like I should be doing more with it. And obviously everything in divine order, you attract the right people. And I really began to understand through her, her experience and her testimonies and her success, what I needed to do. So I just started following her, and she was going to be on your show. So I was like, well, let me go support and watch her show. And so again, just pouring into others who I believe in and like who I can benefit from. She was educating me about things, about the book that I just was not doing. So that's how I found you, and just kind of hit it off in the chats and stuff. Like, it was really great to see what you and your platform was doing, and how you guys were amplifying her work, and just kind of asking the right questions and really giving her an opportunity to connect with us. So that's really what was cool. So kudos.
Thank you. You mentioned a lot in the beginning about mentorship. Like, throughout this conversation, she's mentioned her mentors. How important is it for mentors? Because I mean, honestly, I think in our generation, when we were in school, we did have more of that. The after school programs, now are geared more towards just playtime. It's really just an outlet to run around and play until your parents come pick you up. There's no mentorship going on in the schools, at least the public school sector now. I'm here in LA with you. So I don't find that there's a lot of mentors anymore. How are you, balancing that for your son? Because he's like in elementary school, right?
Yeah, he's in the third grade.
The thing, because I feel like my child has been cheated. I really do. Especially out of the male, mentors and stuff like that. Like, it's just been non-existent. And just to hear her constantly mention her mentors, because her mentors, made sure that she reached certain levels. They introduced her throughout life to the right people. They encouraged her, they spoke life into her. And here we are, like, where is that for our kids? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm mom. And it's so much, there's only so much I can speak into my kids. Sometimes they just feel like we're preaching. Last night, for instance, my son thinks I'm just constantly preaching. So to hear from someone other than mom or dad, I think it's important. And someone that cares, obviously, about their future.
Definitely.
I would totally agree. I was a big brother, big sister alumna. So I served and I was a big sister, and I have sisters. And I think that's a form of mentorship as well that's missing. But professionally, it made a difference. And being a mentor, I think it's important to also be a sponsor. And there's a difference, especially when you're an adult seeking a mentor in the workplace, because the sponsor really needs to be able to put some substance, some currency behind vouching. And I know, again, we don't always trust each other. Our people, we don't do business well sometimes with each other because we don't trust each other. So it's like, well, why would I do that and put my name on the line for somebody? But that's what's required in some of that, as I like to call, infiltrating the system, and the come up, when we climb those ladders and we learn the things that you can only learn if somebody tell you, because it's the unspoken rule or it's the unspoken way. And I did benefit from a lot of that. So knowing the importance of it, I give it back. I'm a mentor to others, but mentorship really does require the work. You can't just like sit back. You got to be willing to, like, my mentors sponsored me. They gave me the scholarship. They gave me the internships, which meant they went to their companies. It was like, hey, I have this young girl I want to bring in. I want to pay her, and she's going to work with my team. And we got to have a budget for it. Where's the budget at? Like, vouching, advocating. That's what it looks like behind the scenes. And then you could go to your local high school and be like, I got an internship I could offer, but that's both sides of it. And it really made a difference. It really did in high school. So I continue to do that work in the capacities that I can, but strongly encourage it. For my son, I feel your pain. I am a single mom with a village. His father's evolved, but he lives in Vegas. We're here in LA. We make it work. We have our systems in place, but he is lacking. And I feel bad about that sometimes. But again, everything in divine order. I'm a woman of faith. So I'm like, okay, God got you better than I can ever have you. But at the same time, I would love for him to have more of an organic outreach of, like, the community knows Yair and they come and check on Yair and, that kind of thing. But when we go looking for it, there are programs. So it's just a matter of me, like, oh, he ain't old enough yet. Or, maybe that program actually doesn't exist based on his interests, not just the fact that he's a Black boy in the inner city. Like coding camp. I would have loved to send him to coding camp this past summer, but there really weren't any, that he was eligible for. So, man,
they got plenty around here. They just super expensive.
Yeah,
that's definitely something I want to do with my son too. Yeah, but for sure. Like I was saying on a couple of shows ago, I was talking about, we take advantage of a lot of free stuff that I find online. For the coding, they have a lot of like entry, like they'll give you a free trial. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Do these classes for 30 days, and we'll just take advantage of that. You know what I'm saying?
Nice.
So just to get him, acclimated and familiar with it. You know what I'm saying? Because he already shows interest. But yeah, coding camp, that'd be really, really dope.
Yeah, it's real expensive. I did it one time in Long Beach State. It was like 2 days, and it was like $1,100 for 2 days. That was all. I was like, every summer for this, he's actually so he's graduating, like I said, 2023. He's a senior, only has 3 classes. Because he got most of his credits, but he added a 4th, and it's coding this year. He's like, he loves it. So I don't know why I didn't do this before. So he's actually taking a coding class.
That's what's up. I didn't know that.
Just to give him, he just told me. He was like, I added the 4th class. And I was like, what is it? And it's coding. And it's a class that he added because his girlfriend takes it. and they go to the same school. So he got in that class with her. But yeah, he added that, and so far he likes it. His girlfriend is a natural.
Hopefully they don't break up.
I hope not. But I think she's a good inspiration for him. Like, she's into graphic design. She does web design for people, YouTube promos, everything. So she's artsy, and she kind of knows a little, bit of stuff. So she's rubbing off on him. So I like it. Yeah, I like it.
Tell her to holler at us. We building a team over here.
Right?
Nice.
Yeah.
But I would be remiss if I didn't question you on this, and this might seem like tough question or whatever the case may be, but this is Sincere Love the Godcast, and we cultivating a certain type of audience, which I know when I was reading your Bible. When I was reading your bio, there's a couple of terms and words that are triggering for us here on Sincere Love the Godcast. And so when it comes to like people of color, women of color, like throughout this whole conversation, I hear you focusing on Black people in particular. You know what I'm saying? But it seems like sometimes with a lot of programs, we'll see they lead with Blackness. And then when it gets time to what we're going to do, then it has to get spreaded across to everybody. Everybody has to share in something that, the energy was galvanized behind the needs of Black people. You know what I'm saying? And then it turns into, all lives matter all of a sudden. So can you explain where you're coming from as far as that? And let me just ask you first, what's your background, your ethnic, cultural background?
Yeah, I'm African American.
Okay.
And I did do I'm African American. I got my 23andMe, so I'm like West African heritage lineage, and but yeah, I'm African American, identify as Black if you have to put me in a bubble. And I think because I navigate many different worlds, what I begin to learn, and then my faith came into this too, and then I have somewhat of a maverick. I'm not a conformist, so those three dynamics are always running. I identify with my community, I navigate between many worlds, I'm cultured, and I have my own way of thinking. And what I find for me right now, sometimes I get tired of like having to lead with my Blackness. I shouldn't have to. And in business, like especially in my practice, I'm like, well, I know I attract Black women. And I also know that when I speak, Black women resonate with what I'm saying. So I don't have to call them out. I don't have to. It's almost like when you are leading your flock, they know the sound of your voice. I don't have to call you out. And I get tired of that sometimes. I also think it might be to our detriment sometimes, because honestly, I'm American. And I really just want to understand what it's like to operate as an American. I know I have this history and I have this lineage, but I'm also American. Just like anybody else, but I have a certain experience in America. But I'm American.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And that's part of the conversation that we have on here a lot about lineage and culture. Right. You know what I'm saying? The thing that makes us unique is that's why we say we're foundational Black Americans. Like you said, you're a Black woman. You're also an American, and you have a unique experience in relationship to this land and this country. And so that's how we define ourselves as foundational Black Americans, because we find that terms like African American are too general. Right. Elon Musk can be considered an African American. You know what I'm saying? Because he's African and he's an American citizen. Anyone really can be an African American. Minority really doesn't talk about who we are specifically. You know what I mean?
Doesn't amplify it either.
And so when we hear those terms like people of color and whatnot, it almost erases us. You know what I'm saying? When we're trying to focus on our particular needs and you know, our specific issues, because in order for us to catch up, we can't do this focus on everybody thing, because you know, if we're at the bottom and everybody gets lifted up, cool, everybody got lifted up a little bit, but we still on the bottom of everybody. So we have to focus on our particular issues in order to kind of level the playing field out. And so that's why we start to get very specific about who we're talking about when we say Black. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about specifically a specific lineage group, foundational Black Americans. And it's not nothing against anyone else. You know, it's no diss to anyone else. It's nothing to do with that. Most groups focus on their group when it comes to certain issues. You know what I'm saying? And so there's nothing wrong with us doing the same thing.
Right. Every group is in the business of empowering their own group. Right. You know, and if someone, you know, outside of the group gets the message, great, you know, but the focus is your group, your lineage, and making sure that we are leveling ourselves up as a group, because we can't, this individualism that we have within our community, not practicing nepotism, you know, not mentoring, you know, not being, mentors to our youth and stuff.
Holding
like
the door open and reaching back. And,
exactly. All lives matter and everything, you know, when we're the ones who need the most. You know, I'm unapologetically not practicing that type of behavior. I'm focusing on my group. And again, this is no diss to anyone else. If you get some jewels out of it, great. But my concern, you know, my words, my focus, my, you know, investment is into my people.
Yeah, and I also want to say that it definitely doesn't mean that we don't do business with other people, that we don't work with other people. That's impractical, and some people tend to get that idea. You know what I mean? Even people that seem to be rocking with us. You know what I'm saying? They seem to get that idea that, you know, everybody else is cut off. No, that's not what we're saying. We have to be able to work with other people. We ain't getting nowhere. You know what I'm saying?
Business.
Yeah, but the thing is, our interests come first. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how everyone else operates, and so it has to be reciprocal. You know what I mean? It has to be a reciprocal relationship when it comes to anything like that. But I just had to ask, you know, because I know there's probably people who was tuned in or people that's watching this on the replay that was like, people of color. Oh my man.
You know why too? Because I'm like, what I realized, and again, like, it's so many mindsets that I'm learning and unlearning in this phase of my life, and the constructs that I don't want to be bound by, which for me, a lot of this is man-made construct. So in my spiritual life, and then it's like, well, you believe in a white God. I've had people say that to me, and I'm like, well, that's your interpretation of God. I don't think God is white. So let's just stop the conversation there. And like, truly, to each his own when it comes to who you serve, but who I serve, I'm starting to imagine myself more and identify as a kingdom builder. So I don't want to always just be tied to the cultural stuff all the time. I don't even want to get into the cultural stuff because that don't always serve me. But I operate in this world, but it's really for a divine purpose again. So I do what I do. I stay in my lane. It's almost like in business development, when you blow things out of the park, it's because you're laser focused. And so to that point about serving my people, showing up for my people, the best way I can do that is to authentically keep my head down and do this work that I'm doing. Like, if I get recognized for stuff, great. If I become a multimillionaire, which I am working in that direction, great. But it's really about reaching the people, changing the lives, transforming them, because again, I know way too much to die with this inside of me. And that would be a shame. And that would actually be the biggest disservice to my people. So I don't have to call you out to say, hey, I work with Black women, but guess what? I am the founder of the Black Women's Investment Club.
If you build it, they will come.
Exactly.
Well, if you build it and market it, they will come.
That's true.
Right? Because you could build all day, but won't nobody know if you ain't telling nobody.
That's a fact.
So, you know, that my approach is people of color is my Hispanic brothers and sisters too, because when I work with them and I'm one-on-one with them, guess what? If I close my eyes, they really are like my aunt. You know, like, dang, you could be my aunt. Like, so why don't I want to serve you the same way I want to serve the people who look like me? Like, there's no barrier here. And so I'm like, all right, well, I'm a servant. I'm not just the Black people's servant. I'm a servant. And guess what? When I show up in this community, I'm going to resonate, and I do. And my following follows and gets the transformation. Those who I'm for, guess what? That's why I'm doing it. I'm for them. I'm not for everybody, which is why we need other financial coaches and other financial professionals, because no one of us is going to reach the masses. No competition. There's room for all of us to show up in our divine purpose and do this work, especially on the different levels, because we're growing our wealth. We're creating more millionaires than ever, which is great for Black people. We closing that gap. So there's somebody for everybody, you know. So I am inclusive, but I'm also very clear based on the work I do and the things that I call the work I do, how I show up in the work I do, to where you know who I'm for and you know the impact I have, but you also know where my heart is. So that's probably most important for me.
Yeah, I think what you do and the information that you have, you know, is very important. It's needed in our community. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, just in this broadcast alone tonight, you know, a lot of gems were dropped. You know what I mean? And so, if this is what you're doing on a regular basis, then thank you. You know, it's much appreciated.
And I wanted to ask a question too about the women's investment group. How many do you have in that investment group so far? How many women?
So we started in 2019 with 16. We've now are at a solid 9. So I'm like, okay, Father, everything in divine order. And we've had members over the years withdraw, really just because they had too much going on. It was like, I don't want to half-ass. And because we are a formal business, we're on record as having existed here in California, registered with the state. You know, I'm like, there's no half-assing it, you know, just because it's something that's new and we don't know each other, we don't get the slack because we're in business with each other. So there are a solid 9 of us. And the whole idea is that the power of the small, like, for a lot of people, investing is a barrier simply because they think you need a lot of money to do it. We only pool $25 a month between the 9 of us, but we've been doing it for about 3 years now. So we have, like, you know, a little over $6,000 that we're saving. We learn, we trade. We have guest speakers come in, and we're showing the power of the small. You can start small and grow your portfolio like we did, you know, save with each other. We were strangers. Some of them I knew through Organic Network, but most of them, they don't know each other. Except for in the happenstance that 3 of us did go to high school together. So I'm proud of that, because we know each other. And it's good to see us like working together, for our class to see that too. But yeah, that's the 9 of us. And we're all Black. They're all, you know, young women, beginner investors, small amounts for large gains, learning how to invest together.
I like that. And honestly, $25 is really nothing. That's not a lot. You know, that's an easy commitment to me.
Once a month for 2 hours. That's when we meet. You know, there's some emails in between throughout the month, and now we have a sisterhood, you know, so you get other benefits out of that communion, but faithfully once a month for the past 3 years, we rock out on our investing together.
Oh, so what's next? What's next for you, Dr. Reese? Any upcoming workshops or speaking engagements or anything that you want to share with the people?
Yes, I am working on some things. I really want to bring a model that I haven't seen, which is like a monthly price point for the financial coaching and financial planning services in our community, but a structured program where, again, you're transitioning behaviorally. So I want to do a Mastermind Money launch. I'm thinking about it. It's something I've never done before. A monthly price point backed by some technology as well for planning. So I'm kind of cooking right now. I'm in a, as I like to say, the desert stage. I feel like I'm being developed for this next big thing. I'm in a dark room, but some of the non-financial related things that I'm working on is a 24-hour Black women's spa, because I love to spa, but I don't, all the spas I go to aren't run by people who look like me.
We
And
need it. We need it. We need it. We need it.
those are experiences that I want to keep having. I'm getting quite frustrated with things, services. Like, I paid to get my hair washed, but I have locks. So
Right.
you just stay away from my hair. Like, wait, what? I paid though. You could at least put some
By
stuff.
the way, Locks by T. You can follow her on Instagram. She does my son's locks. Locks by T.
Shout out to Locks Latif.
Locks by T.
Locks by T. Yeah, we need, and like that, like having lock services in the spa. Like, come on, so that's my next venture. That's a business that I'm building and that I would love to do a seed round. And that's the intention, to do a seed round with Black women becoming the owners of this spa, because health and wellness is important to us, especially right now in these COVID times. We're learning we need that. We need to be able to decompress. But that spa experience, we love it and we support it, and we give our monies to these other communities that don't, again, cater to our culture, cater to our wellness and our lifestyle needs when it comes to relaxing. So that's the focus right now for me, outside of building the business out. No, like I've kind of just, again, cut off all of the workshops and stuff because I'm about to relaunch the business with some more technology behind it. Like I'm doing well. So I'm like, thank you, Father.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I need to take a step back and see what this next piece is. So right now I'm just kind of working with contracts that I have, growing my business that way. I do have individual clients. They're in my signature financial coaching program. Nothing outside of that, nothing crazy. I'm really laying low right now. I'm going to take some time to retreat so that I can launch the way I want to, with the new offer, and hopefully hire my first coach, like true organic growth, so I can multiply myself and get this work more integrated on the local level, like households. Every household is practicing some level of financial leadership and discipline, ideally with my program.
Some of the ladies want to know how they could join the women's group.
Yeah.
The Black Women's Investment Club.
Yes.
So that's the real cool thing right now about this club, is that we are not recruiting. Going back to practice and excellence, my way of teaching is usually as I go. So like, I don't have to make the million before I start teaching you how I did it. I'm like, well, hey, I made 50,000. Let me teach you how I did that. With this, we don't know what we're doing. I'm a financial professional. No one's invited me to an investment club. I've never seen it done before. I hear about it. I research it. You can see other people doing it. I've never been a part of it. So for this one, we're just trying to figure it out. Once we get the blueprint, then we will have a model that we can be like, come on, y'all, we ready. Right now, we're learning, and we're 3 years in, and we have social media, but we're not operating in that. Again, we're in the development stage, laying low. So
in the dark room. Okay.
Being developed.
Respect.
So we're not accepting, but we have intentions to. That's why we just like, let's figure it out.
Yeah, please keep us posted on any new developments so that we can have you back on. Promote anything for you on our pages, of course. If you anything, just make sure you reach out. We want to know what's going on when you start recruiting for that. Please let me know. I'm a woman. I can afford $25. Ladies, or you in the chat can too. So we definitely want to support that.
Absolutely. I will say again, as part of the relaunch, we're going to be focusing more towards my goal is, again, you've heard my vision earlier, but to work with Black women in the $30,000 to $80,000 space and introduce them to investing through the program I already have. And so just relaunching that to where it's a lot easier for women to afford it at a monthly price point, because right now it's just like I only offer private coaching. So, and that's at 5,000 minimum. And so I'm like, how to reach more people, we've got to bring it down at a way that behaviorally we can all adopt and kind of do it over 12 months. So I can share that what's being built does incorporate investing for new investors. Like if you've never done it before, just like the Black Women's Investment Club, because we see what's working, but to the point where it'll be incorporated in that monthly financial coaching package, whatever it's going to look like after I launch it. That will be your opportunity to go ahead and be a part of something like that.
Nice.
All right. Well, we have to let go of the hostage, Nicety. So wind it on down.
All right. Well, we have two more questions for you before we let you go for the evening. And again, thank you so much for doing the show.
Absolutely.
You have been a pleasure. There's going to be some baby clips coming, so be looking out for that if you want to share it, because he's the jewel snatcher, and he'll chop it up and repost the jewels in here, and there are many. Again, thank you so much for doing the show today.
Of course.
What does freedom and power mean to you?
Freedom is not having to do anything unless I want to. And power is getting exactly what I want without having to do it.
Ooh. We haven't heard that one before.
Because it's influence. So with power, you influence others to do what you want them to do to get what you want. So
say it again.
With power, it's about influence. You influence others to do things that help you get what you want. So I don't have to do anything but continue to be influential. And then that will beget movement that gives me what I want. And with freedom, just only doing things because I want to. I have the desire, not because I have to, need to, should, or any of that. Simply because I want to.
I love it.
Freedom and power, y'all.
I love it. So this part right here, we got to put you on the Summer Jam screen.
Yay.
And so now you have the microphone. The entire Black community is listening. What parting words would you like to leave us with tonight?
Everything in divine order. And you are divinely and uniquely created for a purpose. Your purpose is tied to your service. Your service is tied to your income. And your income is tied to your wealth. So if we want to build wealth, let's just get super clear on our purpose. And we set.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Thank you very much for that. Again, thank you for being here. This has been another fantastic episode of the Black Business Showcase. We do this every Wednesday and Thursday, family, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Time. This is our weekly series called the Black Business Showcase, where we bring on entrepreneurs and business owners to give us all the game that we need about growing businesses, starting businesses, growing businesses, building wealth, all of that good stuff, and just have great conversations like we did here tonight. Also, you can check us out on Sundays where we do our weekly broadcast where we cover current events and we talk about issues that we feel are important to what is happening in Black society. And so check us out on Sundays for that at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 p.m. Pacific Time. What we got next, Nicey?
Obviously, you cover Sunday. Next Wednesday, we will have our brother Ken Stevens Jr., who's also a business coach.
Shout out to Ken Stevens Jr., my brother.
Yeah, we're definitely going to be touching into the business, y'all, because we need it. We need it. It's so important. And you know what's so beautiful? Since starting the GodCast, the Black Business Showcase, I should say, seeing all the young, entrepreneurs, coming up in this time. It's so beautiful to see. I didn't grow up seeing it. I was always taught, go to school, get a good job. Go to school, get a good job. And then, now that I'm in my 40s and I realize, well, I can't pass a job.
Ain't no quotes on that.
I can pass a job down, though, to my children. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, like you said in the beginning or throughout the show, mindset is everything. And so a lot of stuff we are unlearning and relearning, and I'm enjoying this process for myself and watching other, beautiful Black entrepreneurs grow their businesses. And again, thank you so much for doing this. And thank you to all the past guests and future guests, because you guys do not know doing this Wednesdays and Thursdays means so much to me. Like, I can be doing other stuff or not, what I'm saying? But I make sure that I'm available for this because it's so important for me to get this information out to everyone, not just our youth, but for other, people who want to do it, don't know how to do it, and people such as yourself, give them the inspiration. You are someone that they can actually DM or email now because you've inspired them to get off their tail, and just do it. Like you said, also, a lot of it is fear. A lot of us have not made these moves because of fear of failing, worried about what someone is going to say. Oh, you shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have quit your job. How often do we hear that? You better not quit that job. That's not going to work. You know what I'm saying? So we need a lot of people to speak life into, our entrepreneurial spirits as well. And so again, thank you for that. And thank you for all of our past guests and future guests to come, because this is so needed. We appreciate you guys so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Indeed. Yes, indeed. And remember, family, like I always tell y'all, we are not the master teachers, but we are the master students and signal boosters for the voices of the new Black media. Peace and Black love.
Most resilient, we poster children of prophecy fulfillment. We gotta be God's children.